Hey everybody, this is William from the Godzilla Files coming at you today with a new monster talk, and today we're going to be talking about the Heisei series. This is probably one of the more popular eras in the Godzilla franchise. This is an era that I kind of grew up in. These were the first movies that I really got to see from the Godzilla franchise, but that's not to say that there aren't issues with these films, and I kind of thought talking about them today would be a lot of fun, to kind of talk about the things that I really like, some of the things that they didn't do correctly in my opinion, and so yeah, but without further ado, let's get started. First thing about the Heisei era films that I like to talk about is that this era has one of my favorite Godzilla films of all time, Godzilla vs. Biollante. And I really do think this is a perfect example of what the Heisei era does so well. And the first thing I want to talk about is Godzilla. Godzilla in the Heisei films is truly amazing. They really go back to the original idea of Godzilla. This creature that, is not a good guy, might not be a bad guy, but he's definitely not here to help humans and save the day. He truly is a force of nature, which is the way I like my Godzilla. Some people might not like this, but I think this is actually the best way to use Godzilla. While maybe becoming more of an anti-hero towards the end, I do think it's a great arc that this Godzilla has, and it's really shown by even, things like baby Godzilla, throughout the films, how he grows and how Godzilla reacts to him. And I think at the end of the day, if you go back and watch these films, you will see that. The other thing is, the other kaiju in this era films are done amazingly. The new kaiju like Biollante, Space Godzilla, and Destroya are all done so well. They're massive creatures, menacing, and it's truly amazing that they were able to be done with string or costumes or anything like that. And I think that really does show how good they were at this era. The other thing is, when you look back at this era, is the updates to the kaiju that were major stars in the Showa era. If you look at King Ghidorah, Mothra, Rodan, or even Mechagodzilla, they all get updates, and I think for some of them, that's their most popular designs, like King Ghidorah. Without a doubt, this probably has the best looking kaiju from any of the Godzilla eras. Speaking of special effects, overall the special effects are pretty well done. I enjoy the model work. I think the special effects for the kaiju's, energy attacks are all so well done. The model work is great, very detailed. This is an era where the buildings were getting taller and taller, and some of them even towered over Godzilla. So, the amount of detail that you can do with that is limited, but they managed to make as much detail as they could, especially in Godzilla vs. Biollante or even Return of Godzilla. Those two films have such great model work that, you almost have to watch them just to see that. The other thing that I really like about these films is the music. This is an era where they were kind of updating old songs, but also mixing in new ones, and it's really well done. I think this probably has some of the best film music. Some of the best themes will probably still be found in the Showa, but if you're actually looking at a whole entire complete score, I think the Heisei has some great ones. Perfect example is Godzilla vs. Biollante. Love that soundtrack. It sounds nothing like anything that you heard in the Showa, and it's a perfect mix of some new stuff, but then also updating the Godzilla themes. Finally, this era of films does not go on for too long, and this is actually one of the best things about it. It doesn't get bad like the Showa era did. The Showa era had a period of time where their films were not that great, and the Heisei's films might have some films that are pretty weak, but they don't drag it out. This is like I think it's only like 7 films, if that, and they're done. I love that because, I felt that the Showa era did a lot of harm to Godzilla towards the end they just kept releasing films that just weren't to the level that they should have been. And I think Toho realized that and really made a conscious effort not to do that during the Heisei era. So I have been really talking great things about the Heisei films, but there are some things that they do that aren't that great. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the human characters. To me, the human characters in the Heisei films are pretty generic, pretty boring, and most of them are pretty forgettable. There are a few exceptions to this, but overall I would say that most humans are forgettable. And that's a shame, because I think one thing that the Showa films do so well is they really make you care about the human story that's going on. And I do think there needs to be both a good kaiju story and also a human story to really make the best kaiju films. The other issue that I have with these films are the special effects. While some of the special effects are great, like I have said in the past, there are some issues. One is they usually cut corners, and And what I mean by this is we've all seen the Heisei films where Godzilla is walking in the background and they've kind of shown you the city in the foreground. And it looks so bad. There's so many shots like this throughout the whole entire series, and I feel like it's just a way of them not having to make a model and really put the time and effort into their films. And I think that's a shame because there are some really great special effects, but I think sometimes they get lost in Toho, I think either trying to save money or just not having enough time to do everything. You know, you look at things like Godzilla's tail ripping off in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, and you know, it's like, how did that even make it into the film? But it's there. So I think maybe part of the issue is that everything felt very rushed, and I think a lot of the special effects do suffer because of that. While there might be more good things than bad in the Heisei films, it's important to recognize both. So, you know, that's why I bring up the two issues that I had with the Heisei era films. So, you know, overall, this is a very good time for Godzilla films, and I really do think everyone should go back and really, you know, watch these films. They are available on DVD and Blu-ray. You really can't go wrong. The kaiju action is great. You know, the special effects, for the most part, are very good. And if you're really just looking for a great Godzilla film, you'll find some really good ones in this era of films. You know, Godzilla vs. Biollante, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. I like the Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla film. So those are three films that I think you guys should definitely check out, and let me know what you guys thought about them. But yeah, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about the Heisei era of films, and you know, as always guys, I will talk with you all later. Bye.